What's up, everybody? Welcome back in to LTL Media here on, what night is it? Oh, wow, it's April Fool's Day. Look at this, April Fool's Day on Wednesday. Glad to be back here on the live show. Been kind of cranking them out over the last couple nights. In depth covering the Enrique Delgado Garcia case. If you haven't gone back and watched my coverage, I urge you to do that. So what are we doing here tonight? So tonight I had one of those pesky FOIA requests come through that I sent through about 3 months ago. And finally, we have some audio to some IA testimonies. And I think back, it's probably maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago now. Myself and attorney Nan Gallagher went and did some table reads of the Michael Proctor IA testimony. We did Brian Tully's. I think we did Fanning's. But now we have some audio. So tonight I'm going to play the Brian Tully and Lieutenant John Fanning's audio from the IA investigation. Let me just pull this document up here. Let's see. So here we go. Divisions of Standing and Training. This is back on notified on July 12th, 2024. And this is for Brian Tully. So it says here on Friday, July 12th, 2024 is made aware of potential misconduct involving Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, which occurred in the month of May 2024 at an unknown location. Detective Lieutenant Tully failed to take corrective action concerning inappropriate text message between the members of the department and failed to appropriately review and evaluate the performance of those members. I respectfully request that the investigation be initiated into an allegation of Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully failure to make appropriate corrective action concerning inappropriate text messages. Yes, and that is former disgraced failed Trooper Michael Proctor in failure to review and evaluate the performance of those members. So that is why we're here for Brian Tully. And then for Fanning, he became a witness, and we will hear that. He was notified on August 6, 2024. And let's see, the department has identified you as a witness as an official personnel investigation being conducted by the Office of Professional Integrity Accountability, and that is POST. This investigation was initiated following the receipt of a request of personnel investigation authorized by Major Keith Egan after he apprised the allegation that Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully potentially failed to take corrective action concerning inappropriate text message between the members of the department. That is, yes, former failed Trooper Michael Proctor fired, failed to appropriately review the evaluations performance of those members prior to having conversation with you. I must advise your rights, blah, blah, blah. In the future, it'd be necessary to speak with blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at tonight. And we're going to get into... All right, let's see. I put a poll up. I'm going to see what you guys want to hear first. You guys want to hear... Where's my poll? I think it was Tully that was winning, believe it or not. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to play the Tully testimony first. Let me do this. And my job here is I'm trying to shut the fuck up as much as I can tonight. Let this play out. Let you guys hear it. I'll turn on captions. And let's do this. Let's do this. Brian Tully, IA investigation on 7/23/24. Here we go.
Today's date is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. The time is 11:16 a.m. This interview is regarding Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability case number IAS 2024-0028 and is being conducted at Work Bar Needham, 117 Kendrick Street, Suite 300 in Needham. The name of the complainant is Major Keith M. Egan, ID number 2733. The commission officer in charge of this investigation is Detective Lieutenant Michael J. Blanchett, ID number 2952. The commission officers conducting this interview are Detective Lieutenant Michael J. Blanchett, ID number 2952, and Detective Lieutenant Jeremy F. Sweeney, ID number 3186. The department member to be interviewed is Detective Lieutenant Brian P. Tully, ID number 3520. Please state your full name, rank, ID number, and present assignment.
Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, TULLY 3520. I'm the unit commander for the Norfolk State Police Detective Unit.
Do you understand that this interview is being recorded?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are a subject in this investigation?
Yes.
Are
I'm
you familiar
working
with the
too.
department's policies and procedures?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the department's rules and regulations?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge and understand your rights regarding this interview?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are required to answer all questions truthfully pursuant to rules and regulations, Article 5.27?
Yes.
Do you have any questions prior to this interview?
No.
Other persons present are Attorney Timothy Burke and Attorney Jared Burke.
I'm like that thorn in the side that never goes away. I'm that thorn in the side that never goes away. This is not the civil case, Heather. This was the internal affairs investigation of Lieutenant Tully and Brian Fanning. I'm sorry, John Fanning. I said Brian because I'm thinking of myself. John Fanning, when they were summoned in to speak on the behalf of the misconduct of former disgraced trooper Michael Proctor. So that's what we're hearing here. And Nan Gallagher's, Attorney Nan Gallagher's in the chat tonight. Her and I did these table reads, if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, right, Nan? It was like 2 or 3 months ago. And I had put in these FOIA requests to actually get the audio from them. And that's where we're at. So I'm going to try to do my best to not pause. I'm going to try to do my best to shut up here and let these play out. And I may intervene at some points, but let's listen.
Do either of you have any questions prior to this interview?
No, we're all set. Thank you.
Okay. DLT Tully, if you don't mind just signing the bottom of this, today's date, month, year, and sign at the bottom. That you acknowledge and understand your rights regarding this interview.
It's cool. We actually get to hear
What's today's date?
the audio. You know, the table reads were great, but this is being able to hear the audio. It's great. Great audio, by the way. And he's picking up the pen writing. Very good microphone.
All right, prior to this interview, we discussed that if any time you need to take a break, just let us know. We will pause the recordings, or if you need to consult with your attorney, then we'll again pause the recordings. And ultimately, when you've had enough time, we'll resume the interview and return to recording the interview. Okay. How long have you been employed with the Massachusetts State Police?
18 years.
What RTT did you graduate from?
79th.
Did you have any prior law enforcement or military experience?
No.
Can you give me a brief history of where you've been assigned with the Massachusetts State Police?
For the first 6 years, I was in field services in Millbury, Foxborough, and Milton. I was transferred to Norfolk SPDU in 2012. I stayed there through promotions of sergeant, lieutenant. I was appointed unit commander in November of 2021.
And what are your duties and responsibilities as the unit commander of the State Police Detective Unit assigned to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office?
Oversee the administrative duties of the unit.
And are there other personnel that are attached to the unit as well?
There is the unit. Yes. The sworn members within the unit.
Okay. And can you explain the breakdown of supervisors and troopers that are within the unit?
I have an executive officer, Lieutenant John Fanning. In the homicide section, there's one sergeant, Yuri Buchanan. There is a narcotics section who is supervised by Sergeant Keith Pantazelis. And then we have another group that we have two open supervisor spots on our org chart that cover computer crimes and sexual assault. And then we also have an open homicide sergeant spot on the org chart.
By open, you mean vacant?
Vacant.
And who ultimately fills those roles at this time?
Lieutenant Fanning or Sergeant Buchanan.
And how many troopers are assigned to the unit?
Troopers, 13, I believe, currently.
And how many troopers are assigned to the narcotics section and the homicide section? And where do they fall with the supervisors?
There's 4 troopers in the narcotics section that fall under Sergeant Pantazelis. There are 3 in this computer, I'll just call it computer crimes and sexual assault. They report to Lieutenant Fanning. Currently, there are 6 troopers assigned to homicide. Sergeant Buchanan is the supervisor for, I believe, 4 of them. Lieutenant Fanning is the direct for 2 of them. Then we also have someone from unresolved case unit who was attached to the office.
And that particular individual with the unresolved case unit, do they also help supplement as a member of your unit?
It's a new arrangement. They report to DLT Robertson. We're still trying to figure out their role, but they work in Norfolk unresolved cases.
Okay. Do you recall who was assigned to the unit on January 29th of 2022, which was the date of the death investigation of Mr. John O'Keefe?
Yes.
Who was assigned to that unit then?
You want everybody in the unit at the time?
If you can recall.
No.
Me, Lieutenant Fanning, Sergeant Buchanan. On the homicide side, it was Trooper Dave Chico, Trooper Kotkowski, Trooper Proctor. Chris Moore came in the next day as a transfer on paper. That's all I can recall on the body side. On the narcotic side, there was Sergeant Pantazelis, Trooper Brian Sullivan, who's no longer with the unit. I believe Kevin Tufts was assigned to the unit at the time. I think that was it for the drug unit. And then in the this other computer crime sexual assault, Trooper Kathy Prince, Trooper Nick Garino, and Trooper Connor Keefe.
Okay. For the body side or homicide members, would it just be them that would be assigned to death investigations, or would there also be some cross or supplement from the narcotics?
By the way, what I put up is the first trial. The first trial ended. So this is 22 days later. This is part of the IN investigation. So that's trial 1 that I put up. This is trial 1. All right, here we go.
Members and computer crimes.
Everyone outside of Trooper Prince is on the on-call schedule. So the narcotics kick into the weekend rotation for unattended deaths. Anything suspicious would be assigned to a homicide person.
Okay. And when Trooper Proctor, Trooper Michael Proctor, first transferred into the unit, were you the unit commander then?
No.
What was your position at the time that Trooper Proctor first began in the unit?
I think it was a trooper, the rank of trooper.
Okay. Do you recall what year he came into the unit?
I want to say 2018.
Don't guess if you don't know.
I don't know.
I think that's the lawyer.
And when were you promoted to sergeant?
2019.
And then when were you promoted to lieutenant?
July of 21.
And then you became the unit commander in November of 21, at which time you were promoted to detective lieutenant.
Yes.
Had you ever worked directly with Trooper Proctor when he first began in the unit as a trooper?
We were both troopers in the unit.
Did you work cases with him, or did he shadow you for investigations?
Yes.
Did you ever, prior to becoming the unit commander, did you ever directly supervise Trooper Proctor?
I'm trying to think of when I was a sergeant who my direct reports were. I don't recall if he was. I don't think he was.
Bullshit.
How about Sergeant Yuri Buchanan? Do you recall when he was first transferred into the unit?
I don't.
Sorry.
Super. You know, it's funny, Nan. I remember reading through this testimony. Like I can totally remember it.
Were you troopers together as well?
Yes.
And did you work with Sergeant Buchanan back then on cases or that you can recall?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever directly supervise Buchanan?
I don't recall if I did.
And was Trooper Proctor assigned as the lead investigator for the death investigation of Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
Was that something that you assigned?
The on-call schedule gets generated a month in advance, and whoever's on call for the date that the call comes in would be assigned the lead investigator.
And was Sergeant Buchanan assigned as the direct supervisor for that investigation?
Much like whoever the on-call person is, the on-call supervisor for the week would be the supervisor for that case. If it comes in on their on-call week.
Okay. What was your role during that investigation?
I had received the call shortly after the initial call came in from Sergeant Buchanan, so we were in constant communication from early in that morning. I ended up responding out to the scene.
And who kept you informed of the status of the investigation, and how was that communicated to you?
At what point?
From the beginning and for the days to follow.
Sergeant Buchanan.
And was Miss Karen Reed subsequently identified as a suspect in this investigation?
Yes.
Were you aware that Miss Reed's cell phone was seized?
Yes.
Do you recall who seized her cell phone?
It was during the interview that night. Either Sergeant Buchanan or Trooper Proctor would be the singular person to do it, but they were there doing the interview.
Were you aware in advance that they would be looking to seize her cell phone?
No. They developed information during the interview that resulted in the seizure of it.
Do you recall whether there were any issues with her cell phone, such as a delay in accessing her cell phone?
It was password protected. We were unable to access it immediately.
And at some point, did you become aware that Trooper Proctor looked through her cell phone?
Yes.
And do you recall when this occurred?
August of 2023.
So not the invest was January of 2022.
My apologies. Yeah, it's August of 2022 was when we were able to access the phone.
Okay. And do you know how that access was
Accomplished.
was accomplished? Thank you.
We have Gray Key, which is a software that attempts to bypass passcodes for iPhones in the office. It attempts by brute force entry, so it continues to try different combinations. We had hooked it up, and it took 7 months from the time of seizure when you got a warrant, attached it. It took that long for the software to accomplish the password break.
And
Yeah. You want to take my phone? Fuck you. You ain't getting the password. 7 months. Oh, go Karen. You want my phone? You want my phone? Fuck you. You ain't getting the password.
during that investigation in the summer of 2022, August,
Yeah. So how it happens, how Gray Key and these softwares work is they punch it in and then they just run an algorithm of numbers. And some of them can take 5 minutes. Some of it could take fucking years because it's just running all the combinations of the numbers. That's how these softwares work. I love that. Fuck you. I'm not giving you my password. 7 months.
2022. Were you aware that Trooper Proctor, Sergeant Buchanan, and other members of the unit, including Lieutenant John Fanning, Trooper Jeffrey Kukowski, Trooper David DeCiccio,
Chico.
And Trooper Chris Moore were part of a group text message thread that had inappropriate communications regarding that investigation.
No.
Was it common for SPDU Norfolk members to utilize group text messaging?
Yes.
Can you explain how they would utilize that?
They send messages to multiple people at the same time.
Okay. And the purpose?
I can't really testify to how other people use their cell phones or messaging.
Was this something that you also communicated in group text message threads throughout the unit?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of those?
Quickly share information among multiple members.
And would that be through work cell phones that were provided by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office?
For other members, I don't know how they use their phones.
Were you issued a cellular telephone from the Norfolk DA's office?
No.
Okay. Have other members in the unit been issued one?
Yes.
So what is the process to get a phone from the district attorney's office?
When someone transfers in, they get an option to get one, and that gets set up through the fiscal department of the DA's office.
And who is the contact through the DA's office for that?
Deb Leahy.
You say Deb?
Deb.
And not all members opt to get a work cell phone?
Correct.
Are you aware if Trooper Proctor had a cell phone that was issued by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office?
He did.
And are you aware if he also had his personal cell phone?
Yes.
And in your group text message threads that you would be involved with, would you be in threads that also had Trooper Proctor in them to discuss cases?
Yes.
And would that be through his personal phone or his work phone?
I don't know.
And when it comes time to upgrade these work cell phones, do you know how often those upgrades occur?
Multiple years in between.
Okay. And Trooper Proctor was recently relieved of duty. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And at that time, he turned in his work cell phone. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Do you know if that was his work cell phone that he used back in August of 2022?
I don't.
And when there is an upgrade that occurs with these work cell phones, are you aware of the process that the member goes through in order to turn in that phone, where it goes to, and how they get reissued a new one?
I am.
Okay, can you explain that?
The IT director or Deb Leahy would contact the member to say that they're up for renewal and facilitate the exchange of a new phone and the retrieval of the old phone.
Okay. And who's the IT director?
Howard Wong.
Howard.
Wong, W-O-N-G.
And do you know what they do with the old cell phones that are turned in?
No.
When did you first become aware of inappropriate communications that were part of this group text message thread involving SPDU Norfolk members that were ultimately used in the court proceedings?
Following Trooper Proctor's federal grand jury testimony in February of this year.
Fucking knew in February. You believe that?
It was February of
This
2020.
motherfucker knew and then went and sat in that first trial and fucking testified. This motherfucker knew back in February.
Yes.
And who informed you of that?
Trooper Proctor.
Fucking motherfucker.
And what did he inform you as far as the communications?
He stated that the communications involved him using the word cunt, disparaging comments about Miss Reed's appearance, and looking for nudes in her cell phone data.
And when he apprised you of those messages, was anybody else present?
No.
Where did this conversation occur? Was it in person or over the phone?
Over the phone.
And was this directly after his testimony?
Within a couple of hours.
You're talking about testimony in the grand jury.
Trooper Proctor's testimony at the federal grand jury.
Yes.
So he goes in, testifies to the grand jury, and then goes in hours later and calls Tully and says, this is all the things that I had to answer to in the grand jury. They know this in February. Karen Reed's trial 1 starts. They know this going all the way through trial 1. Sit through trial 1 as witnesses and had all this information the entire time. Knew this the entire time and went in and testified. Fucking pieces of shit.
And with this information, what did you do?
I immediately reprimanded him for the content of the messages, discussed how it was unprofessional.
And you fucking hours later going in and discussing grand jury testimony with someone.
I then subsequently contacted Major Coppenrath, who was in my chain of command in DIS, to inform him of the messages.
And when you speak with Trooper Proctor about, reprimanding him regarding these texts as being unprofessional, was that during the same conversation over the phone?
It was over the phone, and then I went to his house and met with him. It could have been either one. I'm not sure.
Okay. But you did go to his house at some point after this conversation. And have additional conversation about this?
Yes.
All right. Can you explain how that conversation went with Trooper Proctor at his house?
He just, again, described his testimony in front of the federal grand jury. He went over those topics I talked about, the use of disparaging words, comments about Miss Reed's appearance, and then the looking for inappropriate material in her cell phone data. We discussed how I told him I was displeased and angry with the fact that that he had sent those messages.
Sure you were.
That was the topics of the conversation.
Was anybody else present?
John Fanning was there for this period.
And that's how he became a witness.
Did Trooper Proctor expand any further on any additional text messages?
No.
And were you aware of who else was involved in that text thread?
No.
At the time?
No.
Did Lieutenant Fanning,
really.
Did you have a conversation with Lieutenant Fanning about those text messages as well?
Yes.
And how did that conversation go?
We discussed how they had happened, that we were both unpleased or displeased or angry that they had occurred.
Were you aware that Lieutenant Fanning was a part of that group text message thread, or did he indicate that to you?
Objection. When you say a part of.
Lawyer.
Were you aware that Lieutenant Fanning's contact was contained within that group text message thread where these inappropriate text messages were sent by Trooper Proctor?
When?
At this time?
No.
When
In
did
February.
you- in February.
I mean, that's what I mean by this time. I did not know.
When did you ultimately learn of that?
I became aware in March.
So this conversation with Trooper Proctor at his house occurred prior to March of 2024.
Yes.
When you went to Trooper Proctor's house, was that within about how long after having the phone conversation with him in February 2024 was it?
An hour or two.
Okay, same day?
Yes.
Okay. And when you spoke to Major Coppenrath, was that also the same day?
Following morning.
And what information, was there any information that Major Coppenrath had for you regarding those texts?
He didn't provide any information to me, no.
Okay. Were you able to review those text messages?
No. When?
At that time,
February?
in February of 2024.
No.
When was the first time that you were able to review those text messages?
Mike, do you mean physically see the text messages?
Or did you ever see those text messages?
No.
Were those text messages broken down to you in a conversation with anybody else other than Trooper Proctor?
So overarching here, I've signed a non-disclosure order from a federal court order regarding the materials that was turned over, that was gathered during the federal investigation, and it was subsequently turned over to Norfolk District Attorney's Office. This non-disclosure allows me to just disclose that I've signed a non-disclosure. I cannot talk about the parameters of non-disclosure, nor can I talk about anything that was contained within the, yeah.
Could you just restate that only because I'm sure
Yeah.
on the recording that is not going to come through.
I'm trying to remember where I was at. I am signed a non-disclosure. I cannot disclose the parameters of the non-disclosure. The non-disclosure here is regarding the materials that was turned over from the federal investigation to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office through the TUI process. As far as dates and times and kind of this line of questioning, I'm just trying to tread lightly to satisfy my requirements for rules and regulations, but also honor the NDA.
And when was that NDA signed?
I don't know. Yeah, I know. Look at this. NDAs, proffers, they all do it. They all do it, right? They all do it, right? Higgins, proffer, got to bring my lawyer in. These fuckers.
I signed it March 7th.
So he got Proctor runs to him in February, tells him about his IA testimony. Fanning's there. Then in March, he signs an NDA, and then they go through trial one. All this whole fucking time. Unreal. These motherfuckers.
And that was through the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Yes.
Who was the assistant U.S. attorney?
I signed it through ADA Laura McLaughlin from the Norfolk DA's office. She was facilitating that aspect of it. I'm unsure of who she sent it to at the U.S. Attorney's Office.
So he got fucking, once Proctor went to him and told him everything, he ran. I'm going to run to the DA's office and let them know. Sneaky squealy.
Are there other members that are also a part of the NDA?
This
Yes.
guy.
Do you know who?
Colonel Mon, Deputy Pinkham, Lieutenant Colonel Connors, members of MSP Legal.
And that NDA is still in effect today?
Yes.
Exactly, man, right? I'm covering my ass. I don't want this on my watch. See you later, Proctor. I knew that membership button worked. Thank you, Ruthie. I appreciate you becoming a Ghost Squad member level 1. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to become a member, you can hit that $sign there. You can send a super chat, support the channel. And if you want to send the Venmo or Cash App, that's scrolling across the screen as well too. Appreciate the support in any way. Or just do this. Smash the like button. I only see like 59 likes. We got over 276 people watching. I know people hate watch me, but those haters, just smash that like button for me. Let's get this out in the algorithm so people can hear what's going on here. All right, let's get back to Tully covering his ass, running to the fucking DA's office. Here we go. Excuse me.
You spoke to Major Coppenrath about this information. Was there anybody else that you spoke to about this information?
I spoke to Lieutenant Colonel Connors. I don't know what date, but I mean, consistently in this time period. I don't know if I talked to DCAP Collins about it. I know.
So I have Collins and Coppenrath's audio also. I'll do those maybe tomorrow night or Friday. I just don't think we're going to get all of it in tonight because Tully's an hour. Fanning's an hour. I just wanted to kind of get these out of the way, and I'll release all these audios after. So if people want to, play through them, watch through them, listen to them, whatever, we'll put them out into the ethos so everybody can have them. Thank you, North Shore. I appreciate it. All right, let's get back to Tully here. I'm gonna probably do when I release them, I'll put audio captions on them so everybody can see the audio captions if they can't hear it too well. I'll work on that and get them out in the next couple of days. All right, here we go.
Lieutenant Colonel Connors had expressed that he wanted me to talk to him directly, mostly because he gets on the NDA and not to involve any other members kind of in this situation.
Yeah. Fine. And was that by phone or in person?
Both.
Okay. So did you, prior to signing the NDA, did you have to see Lieutenant Colonel Connors prior to, or Major Coppenrath prior to that NDA being signed?
Yes.
Okay. And during those conversations, what was discussed about these text messages?
About what I knew about them at the time, which was exactly what I just shared. I didn't learn anything really new between the beginning of February and March when the NDAs were signed and we got the material from the federal government. So we talked about those messages, who I knew to believe who were on the messages. I didn't have any specific information, but Lieutenant Colonel Connors and I just talked about the messages and who may have been on them.
Okay. And in order to decipher who's on those messages, were you provided a copy of those text messages that you were able to review as part of the NDA?
No.
And how are you trying to decipher some of those numbers or contacts?
Prior to my signing of it, I met with Lieutenant Colonel Connors on March 6th, I believe, the day before I signed it. And we were just talking in generalities about what I knew at the time. And I was strictly conjecture about who may have been on them. But I knew that I was not on them. So I made sure that Lieutenant Colonel Connors knew that.
Did you author a to-from letter or document through any other written means of your conversation in ultimate meeting with Trooper Proctor at his house?
No.
During your testimony at trial, ADA Lally asked you about what you did when you were made aware of those text messages, what you did, and you testified that you had a long discussion with him, Trooper Proctor, about the content and nature of them, and you expressed your displeasure at his unprofessionalism in the content of them, in that you reported them up to your chain of command. We just discussed that. All of that is accurate?
Yes.
Sorry.
And when further asked, was he admonished in any way, he responded that he was by you in that conversation. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Was there anything further as far as admonishing Trooper Proctor beyond having that conversation?
He's been relieved of duty and suspended without pay currently.
Okay. did you take any other action to admonish him beyond that conversation?
I reported up my chain of command.
Did you have any discussion with Sergeant Buchanan about his text message responses in that group text message thread?
No.
Were you aware of those text message responses?
After I signed the NDA, I became aware of who was on the messages, but I was precluded from discussing that at the time because of my restrictions in the NDA.
Fucking scumbag.
Were you aware after the NDA of what the content of those messages were?
I was read summaries of them by ADA McLaughlin. I could not look at the document, but I could be read in.
Okay. So you had become aware by being read those messages, but you did not physically review them yourself.
Correct.
And that also includes Trooper Proctor's text messages.
I thought that's what we're talking about.
I'm sorry. That includes both Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan's.
Yeah, I address a little bit of this behind blue eyes, and I appreciate you put this up there, and I appreciate you being here. I have never changed. All I've ever done here on this channel is create content. And that's what I've always said to my audience, my subscribers, my members, my moderators. If you want content, then you can come to my channel, and that's what I'm going to give you. Okay? And you can decide if it's great, if you can decide if my channel is sucks or whatever. But that's all I've ever done here is just work hard on this channel to put good, valuable content out there. I don't get involved in the other shit. I might poke and prod and say something every now and then. But as far as this channel, that's what we've always done here. Is never the format's never changed here. It's content-based, driven content, if that makes any sense. That's all I've ever done here. And that's just said, if you want content and you want FOIA requests and you want audio and body cam and videos, those are the things that I work on. Those are the things that I do here. And that's what I want to give back to the audience. So that's it. I don't know. If you want to come here and hang out and get good, valuable information and great guests and good content, then you can come and hang out on my channel. If you don't want to, that's fine. Whatever. Do what you need to do. I'm always going to do this. I'm not going away. I don't care how much money I make. I want to give back to my community and keep growing this channel. It's all I care about is just keep growing it and growing it and growing it and become an entity in space and time. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the more important factors here. I appreciate everybody being here. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment in the chat. Hang out with us. Smash the like button. I appreciate it. All right. Let's go.
Text messages.
I'm only aware of messages that were authored by Trooper Proctor.
Okay. Just clarifying. I know I'm a little confusing here. Sergeant Buchanan had some responses to Trooper Proctor's text messages, and you were aware after the NDA of those responses that Sergeant Buchanan also had.
I'm aware of, yes, a response.
Okay.
A response.
Single response.
Yeah.
And which response was that?
A like to a comment of Trooper Proctor beginning to digest the data of Miss Reed's phone.
Okay. But did you have any discussion with Lieutenant Fanning about the inappropriate text messages and what he did about them in that group message thread?
No, because I was precluded by doing that with the NDA.
Yeah,
When did you learn that Lieutenant Fanning was a part of that group?
When I was read in by ADA McLaughlin.
Okay. And that was, do you recall when that was?
Subsequent to my signing, so early March.
Look at this. Look at this. 35 months. And I think Cindy is probably my longest member here. Cindy, look at this. 35 months. She loves coming to LTL. She loves hanging out on LTL. She loves the content that we do here in LTL. And Cindy, I appreciate you. Probably my longest member, 35 months. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for believing in me and supporting this channel over here. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, here we go. Thank you, Maria.
So subsequent to learning
Let's give some memberships
those text messages and who was
Let's give
included
some
in the
memberships out.
text message thread, did you have any further conversations with any of those members about the inappropriate text messages contained within that thread?
Which members?
You didn't catch
The
people
involved
signed
members that were part of that thread.
No,
Right.
I couldn't.
5 memberships on me. Welcome in, members. Got 1 month free on me.
And why couldn't you?
I was restricted by the federal court order that I had signed. I can only speak to other people who had signed the non-disclosures.
Oh, not at all behind. Not at all.
Did you write or direct any other supervisor to write a negative EES or make note for Trooper Proctor regarding those inappropriate text messages?
No,
Did you write a negative EES or make note for Sergeant Buchanan regarding his text message response to Trooper Proctor's inappropriate text messages? Or let me go a little further, or his failure to take corrective action as a supervisor upon seeing
Thank
those
you.
text messages?
no, I couldn't because of the NDA.
And did you write a negative EES or make note for Lieutenant Fanning for failing to take corrective action as a supervisor regarding those text messages?
Same reason I couldn't. No,
Oh, you're welcome. Enjoy.
Were you ever aware of whether Trooper Proctor or any of the other SPDU Norfolk members had inappropriate text messages in other investigations?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay, if you're just coming in, I'll help you out here. This is the internal affairs investigation that Brian Tully, his disciplinary hearing on 7/23/24. It's about 22 days after the first Karen Reed trial, and this is regarding the inappropriate text messages of former disgraced trooper Michael Proctor and some of the investigating in Karen Reed. We're also going to get tonight to Lieutenant John Fanning as he became a witness in this investigation. We'll go through his testimony as well. And I do have 2 others that I'm going to do on another night, which is Collins and the last name, was it Cousinworth? Let me see the last name again. Coppenrath. I'm sorry. So I also have those as well. And they became witnesses in this investigation as well, too. So we'll do that on another. And I'm going to eventually release all this audio. I just want to put captions on it. So I'm going to do that probably in the next couple of days, and then we'll just release this to the public, and anybody can do whatever they want with them. So, okay, let's keep going on here.
Were you aware, or did you ever authorize Trooper Proctor to go out with Canton Police Officer Kevin Albert for alcoholic drinks while driving his issued department cruiser after working on a cold case with him?
No,
Was it customary, or did you ever authorize SPDU Norfolk members to utilize their department issued cruisers to go out for alcoholic drinks after work?
never.
And what was the SPDU Norfolk policy regarding the members' ABL switches in their department issued cruisers?
Can you say, we just want you use the acronym, just for the record, and just say what that is?
The Automated Vehicle Locator System.
Pursuant to a letter that I believe the DAs had signed, or an understanding with the department, the member is to have the AVL switch on as they depart their residence to denote the time that they left their residence for a certain period of time, several minutes, several miles. It can then be switched off while they're on DA time, so to speak, if they're doing investigations
You're welcome, sir.
under the umbrella of the district attorney's office, like a death investigation. Upon returning towards their home, to turn it back on to mark their arrival home. So several minutes, several miles prior to that, they need to turn it back on. It needs to remain on overnight. If they're working an MSP detail or MSP department overtime, it needs to remain on.
So when you leave your house, it's on several miles or minutes into the commute, turn it off while on DA time. After DA time is over and you choose to go out to dinner before heading home, are you required to turn it back on because you're no longer on DA time?
No, you're not required.
Just going to pause again real quick. Shah, thank you. Look at this first time over here. Make sure to subscribe. I appreciate that. Says first time here. I wish I knew about this channel during the trial. This is awesome reporting. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, go back and watch all my Karen Reed trial coverage. Another case that we're following here and have been reporting about is the Enrique Delgado Garcia case. There's going to be some formal indictments read in that case tomorrow. I'll be reporting a lot about this over the next upcoming weeks and months and following that trial out and through its completion. So you're going to want to go back and watch those. And I have other things. I have Karen Reed body camera footage here. You want to go over and just go on my main page. You'll see all the playlists there, and you can go through all that stuff. But thank you. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, let's keep playing through Tully.
So they're just required to turn it back on when they're several minutes away from their homes?
Yes.
Okay, if you could just give me a minute here.
Would there be a log note made for each time that the
Rachel,
ADLs
thanks
are
for
stopped?
becoming a
Is
new
that just
member.
General understanding, so it's long-standing, basically.
General understanding from a
Appreciate you.
agreement between the DAs and the department back when the AVL switches were installed.
I just want to show you Trooper Proctor's latest eval report.
Thank you, Rachel.
And this is for the eval period end date of April 1st, 2024, and it was published on May 10th, 2024. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes.
Can we just see it for a second, please? Do you have another copy for us?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So regarding this latest evaluation report, did you serve as the reviewer on this evaluation?
Yes.
And Sergeant Buchanan is the rater for this eval report.
Yes.
Did you have a reviewer rater meeting about these ratings?
Yes.
Did you fairly and objectively consider each of these ratings and were in agreement with the ratings that were submitted by Sergeant Buchanan regarding Trooper Proctor for this evaluation report?
Yes, with the caveat again that I was under an NDA and had knowledge that could have gone into this EES report, but I was prevented from using it or even discussing it at the time.
And looking at the first section for the criteria of knowledge, compliance, application of policy and procedures, rules and regulations, statute, law, orders, and directives, Trooper Proctor was rated as outstanding. And outstanding shall be issued when the results consistently surpass an exceptional level of competency. in light of what came out in court and what we were aware of, obviously through the NDA, do you believe that this is an accurate description of Trooper Proctor's compliance and application?
Real quick, I just want to drop this link in the chat. I did a video, probably like 3 months ago, and talking in depth about the eval reports that they're talking about right now in this IA testimony. I broke all of it down in a video, and I urge everybody to go over and watch that video because it will give a lot of clarity to what they're talking about and what an evaluation report actually is, and how they were all signed off on all of these troopers knowing what Proctor did, but basically hid everything in those eval reports. I'm gonna drop that link. It's important to go over and watch that. Put it on a your playlist or whatever. But watch through that video. I broke a lot of this down, and it's really, really good information on how they covered their reporting. So yeah, we'll do that. All right, here we go. Why would I interrupt? Well, because it's my fucking show. And if there's something on my mind, I'm going to let my audience know about it, because they may be sitting there and saying, what's an eval report? So I'm answering that question for them, and I'm directing them to a video that I did on my channel that gives a very expanded explanation of what eval reports are, because it's very important and pertinent to this testimony. So if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out of my chat, or we can just fucking block you and you can go away. So sit back and relax. We're going to be here for a while. All right, here we go.
Of policy and procedure, rules and regulations, statute, law, orders, and directives.
I don't agree with the premise of the question, because in addition to the NDA, I was also on the witness list for the trial and I was sequestered. So while I think maybe by May 10th, when it was published, he may have testified. I don't know what had come out in court, because again, I was sequestered. So I don't know what was occurring in that courtroom at the time. So given those two caveats, that is why I approve the 5 now. As we sit here today, it is not a 5 as we sit here today, with the knowledge that I can talk about freely and know to be in the public realm.
Okay. And would you have that same response for section 2, for follows oral and written direction of supervisors, and specifically for the criteria that Trooper Proctor's electronic communications were courteous and professional?
I would have the same answer, yes.
And the third section regarding initiative and dependability, would you have the same response, that Trooper Proctor was conscientious and responsible in the performance of his duties?
I'd have the same answer.
And looking at the fourth section regarding interpersonal relations, he received an exceptional rating. Would you have the same response, that for the criteria that Trooper Proctor conducted himself professionally in all engagements and served as a resource and role model to the public and treated all citizens with dignity and respect?
I would have the same answer.
And the last section regarding investigative ability. The comments attached say Trooper Proctor has had a high-profile caseload with a lot of eye and pressure from external sources during the entire life of the investigation and subsequent court proceeding. He handles himself and all his cases with utmost professionalism and competence. He is able to investigate his cases thoroughly and with strict integrity, even with unwarranted and unsubstantiated accusations from the defense attorney on the case. Do you have the same response with the criteria that Trooper Proctor's communications for investigating Miss Reed's cell phone, that no nudes so far, funny I'm going through this, or his retarded client's phone, is accurate with this section?
Well, I have
Professionalism.
the same regarding professionalism. Yes, I would say that he was a great investigator, but they were unprofessional comments, all the ones you just read. And as narrow for this section, yes, 5 is not appropriate.
And may we just clarify for the record,
Yes.
the portions of this that you've read are not the words of my client. These
Correct.
ratings.
These ratings were submitted
The lawyer.
by Sergeant Buchanan and approved by Detective Lieutenant Tully.
Okay.
So basically, the eval report were signed off on May 25th, 2023. And again, I urge everybody to go over and watch that eval report video that I did because it explains all this. So he goes in, gives basically Proctor, signs off on Proctor of basically 5-star rating all the way across, knowing that Proctor had said all that stuff about Karen in his investigating, knew all about the text messages that were going on, still gives him a 5-star rating. But now that he's in the IA investigation, he's walking it back. That's basically what's going on here. Sitting here in July 23rd, 2024, and knew all this. It's wild. I explain everything in the video. Again, I'll drop the link there, but let's keep playing on here.
And I have one more eval report for Sergeant Buchanan.
Exactly. Yep, 100%. And there's the link here. Bookmark it.
So the report that we are referencing is the latest eval report on Sergeant Buchanan with the eval period end date of March 31st, 2024. That was published on May 6th, 2024. And going to the first set of criteria regarding knowledge, compliance, application of policy, procedures, rules and regulations, statute law, orders and directives. Did you serve as the rater on this evaluation for Sergeant Buchanan?
Yes.
And who was the reviewer?
Detective Captain Collins.
And did you have a reviewer rating meeting about these scores?
Yes.
Was Detective Captain Gerald Collins in agreement with you for these ratings that were submitted for this evaluation report for Sergeant Buchanan?
Yes.
In referring to that first section, criteria of knowledge, compliance, application of policy and procedures, rules and regs, statute law, orders and directives, Sergeant Buchanan received a rating of outstanding. And in light of everything that has come out in court, did you believe that this is an accurate rating for Sergeant Buchanan?
Walking it back.
I do. I've spoken to him about his messages that came out in court. He knows the Department of Rules and Regulations, and he understands the laws and regulations of the Commonwealth.
As a supervisor for Trooper Proctor, do you feel he meets an outstanding rating for this section?
Yes.
Okay. And in the second section, the follows oral and written direction of supervisors. In light of what came out in court, do you believe this to be an accurate description and rating for the criteria that Sergeant Buchanan was courteous and professional with his electronic communication response or responses to Trooper Proctor's text communications.
Is that question part of this section for ES?
Yes.
Can you show us that?
The lawyer.
If you go to page 2, the rest of that criteria
For which
regarding, it'll be follows oral and written direction to supervisors. And page 2 will have the continuance of the criteria. And towards the end of that section, written communication proficiency shall be demonstrated via reports that are prepared in accordance with department format and do not contain spelling or grammatical errors. And the next section below that is email and other forms of electronic communication shall be courteous and professional, adhering to the aforementioned written format guidelines.
Okay.
that's the following section.
Yes.
The question you asked me was about follows oral and written direction of supervisors and is a rating of outstanding.
On page 1.
Stand corrected. That is oral communication. So scratch the follows oral and written direction of supervisors and proceeding to the third section of oral written communication skills.
Okay, can we just clarify, does the department regulations refer to those communications that are official Massachusetts State Police Department communications as opposed to those that are between members of the department or the unit that are not official or department required communications? Because there is a difference.
Are you asking?
I'm actually directing to you, Lieutenant. Sorry.
So I'm directing questions to
I know, but-
Detective Lieutenant Tully in regards to his evaluation report for Sergeant Buchanan.
Okay, I guess the point I was just trying to make, that there's a distinction here between what I believe are department required communications that are official communications that require this adherence to these rules.
So all these, just to answer this for Nurse Nanny, thank you for becoming a new subscriber. Appreciate it. This is not all new information. It's all been released basically to the public. I actually got the IA reports for Trooper Proctor and Brian Tully, and I did a lot of the kind of table reading all of this IA testimony just through a transcript. The audio files that you're hearing today, I actually got them in a FOIA request today. So this is the first time anybody's heard these into the public domain. I mean, it's all public information. You just have to submit FOIA requests for what you're looking for. But no, this has been out there for a while. Karen's team, of course, had all this information. It's all part of their defense file. But as far as the public hearing this, yes, this is the first time that I know of. And I just got this today, so I wanted to get out and make sure that it got out into the public, that you guys could hear it, and then I'm going to release it. I just want to do captions on the video, so if people have problem listening to the audio, they can see the testimony on the video itself. So I'll get those out in the next 24 to 48 hours. But let's keep playing through here, and I appreciate you being here. And we're going to do Lieutenant John Fanning's IA testimony tonight as well, too. Just after Brian Tully, we're going to be finishing up Brian Tully's in about 7 minutes. So here we go.
Versus those are personal communications, which would not be held to the same standard of conduct as those that are department required communications. That's the point I was asking.
Do you believe that, Detective Lieutenant Tully?
Oh, you'll find out.
I do, but I should also, my understanding of this ES section is regarding his communication. And Sergeant Buchanan is always professional and courteous. While I agree that he may have witnessed one of his subordinates not acting the same way, Sergeant Buchanan is always professional with all of his communications. And I stand by the rating of 4 for this section. for his communications.
Okay. Even for the liked comment?
Yes.
And
So you know what? See, they know what's going on here. Proctor's going to be out. He's yesterday's news now. He's garbage. So now he's going to buddy up with Buchanan, and they got to try to make it through this together. And Fanning, they got to try to make through all this together. So they're like, fuck Proctor. We know he's going to go down. We're just going to dump it on him. Let him be the person that falls on the sword. Let's save our asses. Let's run to the Norfolk DA and get an NDA. Right? So that's what's going. Oh, my voice cracked. That's what's going on here.
moving on to initiative and dependability. In light of what came out in court, do you believe that this is an accurate rating for the description of the criteria that Sergeant Buchanan was conscientious and responsible in his performance of duties as the supervisor for Trooper Proctor?
Yes.
And we can look at the next section for interpersonal relations.
Oh boy.
Do you believe that Sergeant Buchanan's rating of outstanding is accurate for the criteria that members must conduct themselves professionally in all engagements and serve as a resource and role model to the public?
Yes. And speaking to him about dislike and about what he believed that he was liking, yes. Because he did not believe that he was liking anything regarding the nudes.
Oh, stop.
Go ahead.
So you did speak with Sergeant Buchanan about his comment?
Following the trial, yes.
Okay. And if you could explain that a little further.
He stated that he had liked the comments. His recollection that he was on a detail and had read the message and focused on the fact that we were able to get into the phone 7-8 months later. And Trooper Proctor was going to be able to digest the information. That's what he was liking, was the fact that that was being accomplished.
That's such bullshit. And you know what? Bravo to Karen Reed, too. You want to get on my... I talked about this earlier. You want to get in my phone? Sure. You ain't getting my fucking password. Good luck. 7-8 months later. Here you go. Can you believe that? It's fucking lying.
And that conversation happened prior to this eval report, or was it after?
After.
Of course. Of course it would be after. Why do it before, right?
And moving down to the next section of supervisory skills, he received an outstanding rating. Do you believe that that's accurate for the criteria that the member must effectively communicate performance standards to maintain a disciplined unit which achieves its goals and objectives, and the member must accept responsibility and be accountable for the performance of subordinate members under his command?
I would revert to my answers regarding Trooper Proctor's ESs and the fact that I was subject to an NDA and under sequestration from the trial. I was precluded from using certain bits of information. If I exercised that for my assessment of Sergeant Buchanan, then he would be a 5. If I had the ability to use that information, it would not be a 5 any longer.
Exactly.
And then moving on to the last section here of leadership, motivational skills. Sergeant Buchanan received an outstanding rating. Do you think that's accurate for the criteria that the member must promote open communication, recognize positive performance, and provide corrective action to subordinate personnel?
I stand by that rating.
Listen, when someone sends you a text message and you look at it, you know what they're sending you. You're reading it. So when you do an emoji to that, like a push emoji, like a like or a heart or whatever, you know what you're doing. Give me a break. And you're going to make this, oh, he's on a detail. He wasn't really paying attention. He thought he was liking something else. Another comment about actually getting into the phone. Bullshit, man. Fuck off. Seriously, let me know in the chat. When you guys see a text message that someone sends you, you know what you're liking. You know what you're pushing the little 100% on, or a heart, or a down, a thumbs down, a laughy emoji. You know what you're looking at in a text message when you're doing this stuff. Such bullshit.
DLT Sweeney, do you have any questions?
I had one follow-up. You said that you're now assigned an officer from the unresolved case unit.
Yeah, right.
That person, when did they come on board with you guys?
It was Trooper Kokowski, so he transferred really on paper, and he was formerly a member of the unit, and just on paper is under that command structure. I don't recall when that happened within the last year.
So at the time of the O'Keefe case, he was just a member of the homicide unit. He wasn't the unresolved case unit.
Correct.
That was all I had.
Attorney Burke, do you have any questions?
Can we go off the record for just a second?
Yep.
Sure. The time is 12:13, and we are going to pause this interview.
So this was really strange too. So they asked the attorney if he has any questions, and then he goes, "Can we go off the record?" Why did you have to go off the record? What's the conversation that's in between there? What are they talking about? Right?
And the time right now, we are back on the recording, is 12:19 p.m. We are resuming the interview with Detective Lieutenant Tully. DLT Tully, did you have enough time with your attorney?
Yes.
Why did you need
And-
time with your attorney?
Last questions will be, is there anything else that you can tell us regarding this case that could bring the state police into further disrepute?
No.
Is there any other information out there that we need to know about that could be released to the public, such as any further inappropriate text messages that you're aware of?
No.
Attorney Burke, do you have any questions?
We're doing that.
DLT Sweeney?
I do not.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you feel we should have asked, or is there anything that you would like to add or feel that is important or helpful regarding this investigation?
I would highlight the fact that my hands were tied by the NDA in my sequestration. So while looking back at some of these things, you have to understand my restrictions at the time these things were occurring. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes this interview. The time is 12:21 p.m.
All right, let's go to Fanning. Let's listen to Fanning. Fanning's about an hour as well, too. So sit back. We'll hang out here. Thanks for everybody being here again. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. John Fanning. So he was brought in August when they found out during Tully's interview that he was a witness to the conversation at Proctor's house talking about these text messages. So here we go.
Okay. Today's date is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. The time is 11:32 a.m. This interview is regarding Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability case number IAS 2024-0028 and is being conducted as a virtual interview through Microsoft Teams. The name of the complainant is Major Keith M. Egan, ID
Oh yeah, that's right. And he wasn't even there in person. They did this through a Teams recording.
number 2733. The commission officer in charge of this investigation is Detective Lieutenant Michael J. Blanchette, ID number 2952. The commission officers conducting this interview are Detective Lieutenant Michael J. Blanchette, ID number 2952, and Detective Lieutenant Chad W. LaLiberty, ID number 2885. The department member to be interviewed is Lieutenant John M. Fanning, ID number 3253. Please state your full name, rank, ID number, and present assignment.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant John Fanning, Fanning, ID 3253, and I'm currently assigned as the Executive Officer at Norfolk State Police Detective Unit.
Do you understand that this interview is being recorded?
Yes, sir.
And again, this is just recorded through a digital audio recorder and not video. Do you understand that you are a witness?
Well, man, I got to get it out there because, you know, it could be the gatekeeper. You know what I mean? I got to get it all out there today.
In this
All right,
investigation?
Yes, sir.
And the thing is,
Are you
is so easy about it. There's so much time within the days that this all could be done. Just submit a FOIA request and wait. And then when it comes, you have material for your channel. But it's too easy. You know, it's too hard to do. It'll just
familiar
get
with the
people
department's
excited to
policies and
work.
procedures?
I am.
Are you familiar with the department's rules and regulations?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge and understand your
Love it.
rights regarding this interview?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are required to answer all questions truthfully pursuant to rules and regulations, Article 5.27?
Yes.
Other persons present are Attorney Tim Burke. Attorney Burke, do you have any questions prior to this interview?
I don't. Thank
Same
you.
attorney.
Okay. Before we get started, if at any time during the course of this interview you wish to take a break or consult privately with Attorney Burke, just let us know. We will pause the recording devices and allow you that opportunity before we start the interview again, okay?
Yes.
All right. How long have you been employed with the Massachusetts State Police?
19 years.
I'll be right back.
Can you give me a brief history of where you've been assigned during your career?
Yes. I was a Stoughton police officer from 2002 to 2005. Went to the 78th RTT. Broke in at the Brighton Barracks. Transferred to the Danvers Barracks. Eventually transferred to the Framingham Barracks. Was on the Special Emergency Response Team for a period of time between 2007 and 2012. Was a motor vehicle law instructor. Drill instructor for the 80th RTT in 2012. I worked as a DRE from 2007 to 2014. After leaving the 80th RTT as a drill instructor, I applied for the Norfolk State Police Detective Unit, and I've been there since. Got promoted to sergeant and stayed. Got promoted to lieutenant, and I stayed within the unit. And for the last 12 years, that's been my assignment within the Norfolk SPDU.
Okay. Your current assignment as the executive officer of SPD Norfolk, what are your duties and responsibilities in that position?
So I supervise the homicide unit, at least partially. Those duties are split between myself and Sergeant Buchanan, meaning just one of us has an on-call supervisor duty Monday to Monday each week. So this week, while I'm away, the timing worked out where Yuri is the on-call supervisor. When I get back next Monday, I'll become the on-call supervisor for the week. So I have those duties in addition to my executive officer duties. I do the ESs for only one homicide trooper now, which is Trooper John Gendron. And then I cover the 3 troopers who are in sexual assault, cybercrime, and white-collar crime, and that's Trooper Prince, Trooper Guarino, Trooper Keefe. I supervise that unit as also as a duty. And as executive officer, I just do whatever Detective Lieutenant Tully asks me to do. Administrative duties, things that come down from headquarters and the command staff that we have to get done each week. I just make sure that we collect that information. I either get it to Detective Lieutenant Tully or I handle it if he wants me to handle it. Detective Lieutenant Tully does the payroll. I do the EESs for those troopers that I mentioned. And that's pretty much it. You know, just supervising the day-to-day activities and, the homicides.
Okay. And Detective Lieutenant Tully is the unit commander for SPD Norfolk?
Yes, sir.
Have you worked with Detective Lieutenant Tully prior to him becoming the unit commander?
Yes. He came into the office approximately 4 months after I did. So I came in April of 2012. He came in late June, early July of 2012.
Okay, so you have worked together as troopers and as sergeants and lieutenants, and now as him as the unit commander, and you're the executive officer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to the State Police Detective Unit for Norfolk, assigned to the Norfolk DA's office, regarding the death investigation of Mr. John O'Keefe that occurred on January 22nd of 2022. Are you familiar with that case?
I am.
And as a result of that investigation, Miss Karen Reed was identified as a suspect and charged and recently tried by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office that resulted in a mistrial. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was Trooper Michael Proctor assigned as the case officer for that investigation?
Yeah, I'm kind of half paying attention right now. I'm doing some other stuff behind the scenes. Yeah, I remember we pointed that out when we read through Fanning's testimony. Yeah, I do remember that. Barry, I'm good, man. Hey, good to see you. Danilo Cavalcante, right? You used to follow me over Danilo Cavalcante footage or coverage. All right, here we
He was
go.
the on-call trooper. So yes, by the fact that he was the on-call trooper, he was assigned.
Okay. And in February of 2024, which was prior to the beginning of the trial against Miss Karen Reed, were you aware that Trooper Proctor provided testimony in front of a federal grand jury?
Yes.
And how
Was he aware before? I'm sorry. Was he aware before it took place or after the testimony?
That's the attorney.
I wasn't sure about your question, Lieutenant, whether he was aware of him testifying before it actually occurred or after it.
Okay. Those are my next questions.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt your flow here.
Yes, sir. How did you become aware?
I was aware I was aware before his testimony that he had to go to federal grand jury. I was aware that him and Sergeant Buchanan were both subpoenaed to go to federal grand jury prior to that February 1st date. And I was aware that Trooper Proctor testified on February 1st, but Sergeant Buchanan did not.
Okay. So on February 1st, after Trooper Proctor testified in front of the grand jury, did you have an opportunity to speak with him?
I spoke with Sergeant Buchanan. Because it was my understanding, and it was their understanding, that they were each going to testify at federal grand jury for approximately 2 hours. Trooper Proctor was going to go first, and Sergeant Buchanan was going to go after. I had contacted Sergeant Buchanan to see if he had concluded his testimony or had testified yet, and he had stated that Trooper Proctor was still testifying. I'm not exactly sure how I learned he finished. It could have been through Sergeant Buchanan, but I was concerned for Trooper Proctor. I was really concerned about his well-being because he had thought he was going to be in there for 2 hours. It turns out he was in there for 6.5 hours or so of federal grand jury testimony. So at some point,
Why would you be concerned about someone's well-being when they go in to testify to a grand jury? Why would you be concerned about their well-being? That's a little weird. Like, the guy should be prepared for this type of stuff. Like, what are you talking about? Concerned about his well-being.
I talked to Detective Lieutenant Tully and told him we should go to Trooper Proctor's house and check in on him. We also were aware that his wife was away. Trooper Proctor was under an extreme amount of stress at that time with everything going on. So really the focus of the visit was to check in with him and really his well-being. I was really concerned.
No, you know what they wanted to fucking check in with him about was because he just testified in front of the grand jury, so they were probably there picking his brain, going, "What did you say? What did you do? What did they ask you? What did they want to know? Tell us. Let us know what's going on." Da 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 da. And then Tully runs and gets a fucking NDA to the DA's office. Oh, I love this shit. Oh, we were really just concerned about his well-being. Fuck you were. You went over there to find out what he was talking about. You wanted to know what he said in his testimony.
With his well-being, so it wasn't so much the content of his testimony as the reason for the visit, as more.
Yeah.
It was really more to check in.
He just said, "Oh, it wasn't about his testimony. It was just really to go in and check in and see how he was doing." Fuck off. Fuck off with this.
How he was doing.
Okay. Were you
Exactly,
at
Linda.
SPDU Norfolk on February 1st at the time that Trooper Proctor was testifying at the federal grand jury?
I was various places. No, I wasn't. I went to. I did go to work that day. I was working, and I don't recall exactly where I went. I'm not exactly sure where I went that day or kind of the sequence of events that day, but eventually I did learn that Trooper Proctor was still in there for the majority of the day, and we went to his house later that night after hours, I believe.
Okay.
After regular work hours.
Okay. And were you at the office at some point with Detective Tully to commute to see Trooper Proctor, or was that through a phone call to make arrangements?
Phone call.
And,
Phone call.
Okay. Do you recall where you were when Detective Lieutenant Tully called you?
I called him.
Okay. And did Detective Lieutenant Tully make you aware of whether or not he had a conversation with Trooper Proctor prior to going to his house that night?
I do not recall that.
Okay. And did you meet Detective Lieutenant Tully prior to going to Trooper Proctor's house that night?
We could have, yes. We may have met before.
What the fuck just happened here? That's weird. Hang on a second here. What's going on? That's like on my channel. If not, if it's fucked up, I'll just pull the. Hang on a second here. What's going on? An error occurred? What?
His house that night?
All right, here we go. I don't know what just happened, but I got it back. Hang on. Let's go back up widescreen. All right, here we go.
I do not recall that.
Okay. And did you meet Detective Lieutenant Tully prior to going to Trooper Proctor's house that night?
We could have, yes. We may have met before. I don't recall where we met, but we did meet. I'm not positive if we met. I just remember going there. We were both in our own cruisers. I honestly don't recall if we met earlier that night.
Okay.
Or beforehand.
Okay. Did Detective Lieutenant Tully inform you of some of the information that he was aware of that Trooper Proctor had testified to at federal grand jury prior to going over to Trooper Proctor's house?
No.
Okay. Do you recall if you arrived first at Trooper Proctor's house?
We both arrived around the same time.
Okay. And did you go into the house together?
We did.
Okay. Were there any other department members present at Trooper Proctor's house?
No.
Do you recall about what time you and Detective Tully went to his house?
7, 8 o'clock. Sounds about right. 7 or 8 p.m.
Okay. And the reason why you and Detective Lieutenant Tully were going there was because you're the one who called Detective Lieutenant Tully with your concerns for Trooper Proctor?
That's how I remember it. Yes.
Okay. And when you're talking to Trooper Proctor, does Trooper Proctor explain or describe some of the testimony that he provided at federal grand jury to you and Detective Lieutenant Tully?
No.
I don't recall us getting into much content. The feeling that I had was, and it still remains that way, is that federal grand jury secret. So I didn't really want to get into details with Mike. I let him talk. You know, really, we came in. How are you doing? Are you okay? He did speak about his testimony. He stated that it was pretty much all personal texts that, you know, right from the beginning through 6.5 hours was pretty much exclusively personal text messages with various people. And I don't recall specific detail other than he did have concerns about some of the things that were brought up that could be brought up at trial about Karen Reed, things that he had said about her, but he didn't get into specifics about what exactly was in those texts.
Bro, this dude just testified in front of the federal grand jury, and then hours later, you're running over to his house and you're trying to tell me that he didn't talk about any of his grand jury testimony? That is complete bullshit. They went there to find out what he probably talked about and what questions were asked. You've got to be kidding me, bro. Holy shit.
And that he did state that his lawyer said there could be issues with the job on some of the things that were brought out, meaning, you know, personnel investigations into some of the things that were brought out in text message.
Okay, when you mention his lawyer, is that something that Trooper Proctor told you, or is that his lawyer was present?
No, that's something he told me. It was just us there, just us three there. But Trooper Proctor said that to us.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask some specifics of certain text messages, whether or not he had mentioned them to you and Detective Lieutenant Tully while at his house that evening. Did he indicate that he called Miss Reed and I'm not going to say the word, but I'll just spell it, C-U-N-T, in some of those text messages?
No.
Did he describe that during his grand jury testimony that they had asked him with regard to him making disparaging comments about Miss Reed's appearance in those text messages?
No, not about her appearance. The feeling I had was that he had made disparaging comments about Miss Reed, but the actual content of those I did not know.
And he didn't describe that particular text to you and Detective Lieutenant Tully that night?
No.
And did he describe a text that he had been searching for nudes in Miss Reed's cell phone data extraction? Do you recall him telling you that night, you and Detective Lieutenant Tully?
No.
Okay.
See how quick he was like, no. He wasn't even done asking the question.
When he did describe some of his grand jury testimony, what are some of the specifics that you can recall him saying that night?
The conversation, as I remember, was really about kind of the mechanics of what happened. He went in. He was prepared to answer all these different questions regarding the case. That's what he thought he was going in there for. He had prepped with his lawyer. I remember that when he first got in there, he started getting the first text was a text between his mother and sister and him, and he was kind of taken back, as I recall, that this was the first thing that was, being brought up. And that continued for 6.5 hours. I think there were some breaks in there, and he had talked with his lawyer. And really, he was just saying that they didn't give him target warnings or anything like that, and that he just continued to answer their questions and try to redirect them back to the facts of the case, as opposed to these text messages. In our entire conversation with Trooper Proctor, I do not remember.
He was trying to manipulate the testimony. He was trying to manipulate the testimony. I love it. I love it. We gotta hit one of these.
For any specific language that he used, other than I left there with the understanding that he had made some disparaging remarks about Karen Reed, and it was likely going to come out in testimony at some point, and that there was at least some concern from his lawyer that it could lead to a personnel investigation. That was really the extent. I do not recall any specific language, and that carried through until I watched his testimony during the trial. There was never a point where someone told me the specific language that Mike had used in testimony. It was just, I knew that there were things that he was going to have to answer to when he went on the stand, and that was a little bit a part of his trial prep. He had to prepare himself for those questions with the ADAs assigned to the case.
Okay. Were there any, when he mentions that there's these various communications with these various people, do either you or Detective Lieutenant Tully make some inquiries to kind of get a pretty good idea of what those communications consisted of?
He didn't say who those, meaning who he said those things to?
Yeah,
like in text message.
Yeah, like if if he tells you that there were these communications, between him and his mother and other people, and they were concerning. Did you make any inquiry, or did Detective Lieutenant Tully make any inquiry of what the content of those messages were, and what the problem or issue with them were?
No, because I'll go back to the fact that I know that federal grand jury is a secret process, and I did not ask at any point during that entire meeting with Trooper Proctor specific details. Quite frankly, if I went over there and he didn't tell me anything about it, I would have been fine with that. The whole purpose of that visit was to go there and check on his well-being. He shared those things. Again, not specifics, not who those things were communicated with. I do just specifically remember that it started with that communication between his sister and mother, and he was taken back by that. But I did not leave that day knowing who specifically he spoke to, whether it was within the office or friends of his. I mean, I learned later when we went to trial, but that night, I did not leave with any specific knowledge about the content of what it was and who he was communicating with.
All right. Let me pause here. I'm going to ask the chat something. All right. Let's pause for a second. What happens when people tend to over-explain? What are they doing? Let me know in the chat. When people over-explain, what happens when you over-explain? What are you trying to do? What are you doing? Oh my God, this is so bad.
And I know you refer to the federal grand jury system as being secret, like the proceedings are secret. However, if a witness outside of those proceedings talks about it, then that's not a secret, right?
Well, certainly it's not a secret because he told someone, but I'm not going to try to break those rules.
Yeah, sure.
you know, yeah, I'm doing my best to not be on any federal grand jury's list or break any rules relative to federal grand jury
Okay.
or federal law for that matter.
Okay. So I'll bring it back this way. Were you anticipated to be a witness in the federal grand jury?
Not that I was aware of.
You weren't subpoenaed?
No.
Okay. So you weren't bound by the federal grand jury of not to talk about a case. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I wasn't bound by anything with relative to that case. No.
Okay. And were you aware of a non-disclosure agreement?
That came later?
Yes.
Yes.
Were you a part of that? Did you have to sign that non-disclosure agreement?
I did not. I read it, but I did not sign it.
Okay. Were you aware of who the other department members that were signed it and were bound by it?
Only Detective Lieutenant Tully that I'm aware of.
Okay. How long did you and Detective Lieutenant Tully meet with Trooper Proctor that night?
I would say an hour or two.
Okay. And did yourself or Detective Lieutenant Tully admonish or counsel Trooper Proctor for these text message communications while at the house?
I did not. And I don't recall specifically what Detective Lieutenant Tully said to said to Trooper Proctor. I know he was concerned if he was speaking about the defendant and there were disparaging remarks about the defendant. I believe he said something to the effect of, if there's comments that you made about the defendant, you're going to have to deal with those, and the job's going to have to deal with them. But I don't remember specifically how that was said, but that was kind of my... Detective Lieutenant Tully was, I think, more stern with Trooper Proctor about those things, and that he was going to, they were going to have to be addressed. But again, I didn't recall any specific language that he used, just that they were just disparaging remarks about Karen Reed. That's how I remember it that night.
Okay. Did you and Detective Lieutenant Tully have a conversation or any type of personal interaction to talk about this information that was provided by Trooper Proctor and how you felt about it?
Yeah, so after we did, I talked to Detective Lieutenant Tully, and he was going to make GHQ aware that there was bad language used in regards to Karen Reed, and that if we become aware of it, we'll have to address. He's going to address it. Detective Lieutenant Tully, had taken the lead on handling that, and that was what he was going to do. Detective Lieutenant Tully's a squared away guy. He gets his stuff done. He, once he says he's going to do it, if he needs help from me, he'll ask me. But we never, I shouldn't say we never spoke about it. We didn't speak about that. I knew that Brian was going to make GHQ aware. I didn't follow up on that. And then approximately within the week, Trooper Proctor was brought up to headquarters to speak with legal and Major Coppenrath. Excuse me.
Real quick, I'm just going to pause this. So again, this goes back to this. They know Proctor's ultimately fucked right now, so they're going to try to save their own asses. So Tully, Buchanan, and Fanning, they all get together and say, behind Proctor's back, fuck him, let's let him die on the sword. And then hours after Proctor's testimony, Fanning and Tully are running over to Proctor's house going, But they didn't ask anything about the grand jury. They didn't want to know anything about that. They just wanted to kind of make sure that he was okay. He was feeling well. And he talked about he had been there for 6.5 hours, but they didn't talk about the grand jury at all. Bullshit. That's exactly what they fucking talked about. They went over there and was like, what did they say? What did they ask? Do you think they're going to call me? Do you think they're going to subpoena me? Am I going to have to go in front of the grand jury? So they threw this guy completely under the bus, knowing he was going to go down and be the fall guy, and they're trying to save their own ass. Why did Tully run to the fucking DA's office and get an NDA? I mean, come on. I mean, it's all the writing on the wall. I actually find this testimony a lot more interesting than Tully's testimony. All right, let's keep playing through here.
And Detective Lieutenant Tully and I knew about that. I believe he notified me that Trooper Proctor was up there with his lawyer, meeting with legal and Major Coppenrath. So after that conversation, we obviously, myself and Detective Lieutenant Tully talk, but
there you go.
I knew that he was handling it, and it was being handled up at headquarters.
Okay.
There you go. He just said it himself. Me and Tully obviously talk. He just said it right there. I remember Nan and I going through this and going, holy shit, we got to hear the audio of this.
I'm just going to use your words of how you referred to it as, that Detective Lieutenant Tully was going to advise GHQ of the bad language for Trooper Proctor.
So there,
what was the bad language?
They're two peas in a pod. This is all, like I said, it's all adding up now. Two peas in the pod. Obviously, Tully and I talk. So they talk and they go, well, he's going to fucking go down for it. We're saving our own asses. So he's going to run to GHQ and go, blah, 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 blah. And this is what we know about it. I'm going to run to the Norfolk DA's office and get an NDA. It's all falling together here.
I mean, I just go back to disparaging remarks. Again, I do not recall any time when I sat with Trooper Proctor that he said, I said this, and I said that, and I said this. I do not have memory that he was telling us specifics.
Okay. And what is the policy, or what is the standard practice at SPDU Norfolk when a member of the unit is to be admonished or counseled? How is that documented?
Well, I mean, I think there would be, certainly there's verbal counseling. Typically, we would do that. I mean, if it was an instance where you had to interject in front of everyone, a verbal counseling like that, or to bring someone into the office and verbally counsel them, something like this, I would say, counseling them and probably a negative EES would follow.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Were you ever aware of afterward whether or not Detective Lieutenant Tully documented any type of admonishment or counseling for Trooper Proctor with regard to this issue?
Well, I think there's a couple different issues. The first I learned of the counseling was when Detective Lieutenant Tully testified. I was one of the few troopers in the office that wasn't sequestered, so I didn't watch every moment of testimony, but I did see Detective Lieutenant Tully did address this with Trooper Proctor, as he stated in testimony. We never talked about that. Brian never told me about that. I spoke to him after the fact, and he said, he had handled it and spoke to Trooper Proctor. In regards to the negative EES and addressing it with Trooper Proctor, as I stated, we had no specifics, or at least I don't want to speak for Detective Lieutenant Tully because his memory, he's a smart guy. His memory is probably a lot better than mine. I do not recall specific language that we would have addressed. If we knew it, fast forward, which we did, then certainly I think there was a place to address those specific terms and the things that we knew. But when I left Trooper Proctor's house that night, I did not have this. I just knew that he had made disparaging remarks about Mrs. Reed, and that was going to have to, that was going to come out in testimony, and for sure it was going to have to be addressed at some point. If we fast forward to answer your question, I saw Trooper Proctor's testimony, not all of it, but at least some of it. Like I said, everyone else was sequestered, including Detective Lieutenant Tully. He knew of some of the language later because he signed that NDA and had been read in by the two ADAs. So again,
So when you're sequestered, you're not supposed to be watching testimony, right? Maybe the lawyer in the chat can let us know about that. Nan, am I right on that? You're not supposed to be watching testimony, correct?
just
Jeez.
kind of knowing the position he was in, I'm not exactly sure how he was going to handle that. He did sign an NDA and he was sequestered. I didn't talk to him or anyone else in the office about testimony that I had seen. They weren't watching it. And so I'm not exactly sure how he was going to address that other than verbally counseling Trooper Proctor.
Dude.
Again, as I heard him say in testimony.
Okay. And how did you become aware that he was read in those text messages?
I wouldn't say he was read in on those text messages. I'm not exactly sure what he was read in on, but he told me he was going to sign the NDA and be read in to those federal documents.
Yeah, he's watching because he wanted to see what Proctor was going to say and what Tully was going to say. That's why I was watching.
Okay. And he never discussed with you afterwards anything
right.
about that information?
I forgot
No,
about that.
he just said it was what Trooper Proctor had told us, which there were disparaging remarks or something in that, however he said it, but that there was disparaging comments and that Trooper Proctor was going to he was going to get, grilled on the stand about that commentary.
Okay. Did you have any further conversations with Trooper Proctor or even Detective Lieutenant Tully prior to that non-disclosure agreement about Trooper Proctor's communications?
No, I did not.
DLT, Low Liberty, do you have any additional questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Attorney Burke, do you have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Sir, good morning. The state police is a paramilitary organization,
Yes, sir.
and you subsequently learned that the following day, Detective Lieutenant Tully notified his supervisor of the substance of the information that he had learned the previous night from Michael Proctor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the Department of State Police is put on notice the following day, the substance of the conversation that Lieutenant Tully and yourself had with Michael McDonald. True?
With Trooper Proctor, yes. Again, what Detective Lieutenant Tully passed along, I'm obviously not privy to. I wasn't there, but he did tell me he notified up the chain of command.
All right. I misspoke. I said Michael Proctor.
Yes.
So the information that's given to yourself and Lieutenant Tully is subsequently provided to his supervisor, and that's Major Coppenrath.
I'm not sure who it would technically be Detective Captain Jerry Collins and then Major
Okay.
Coppenrath,
All right,
but I'm
so
not
that
sure
would be the
exactly.
I'm going to pause. Sorry, everybody. I have Collins and Coppenrath's testimony. I just didn't have time to prepare it. I felt like this was the most, interesting stuff that people want to hear tonight. I'll do that sometime over the weekend, prepare it, and we can go through it. Their testimonies aren't long. I think Coppenrath is 20, 25 minutes, and Collins is like 36 minutes. But I'll get those done and we'll release them out into the public so you guys can hear them as well. But we'll go over them in a live stream, in an upcoming live stream here in the next couple of days. I just didn't have time to prepare it tonight. But we'll go through it. Here we go.
Who we spoke to. That would be the chain
I'm
of command.
gatekeeping.
Yes, sir. And do you know when this non-disclosure agreement was signed by Lieutenant Tully? Sometime in March or April. Okay, and the EES evaluation would be taking place sometime in April, a month or so after the non-disclosure agreement is signed? Yes, sir, April 15th. Okay, and in terms of what you observed on the part of Lieutenant Tully, you described him as being more stern than you were? Yes, if you know both of us, Detective Lieutenant Tully's a more serious type. I think that's why we've worked well together. He's a more serious type. He's astute. He's a really smart guy, and he's firm for sure. So once I knew he was handling it, I knew it was going to get done. Given the circumstances that this was a federal grand jury and your concerns about secrecy, did you think that Lieutenant Tully's approach or response to learning of Trooper Proctor, Detective Proctor's disparaging remarks was appropriate under those circumstances? I do. Again, I can't emphasize enough that Trooper Proctor was under an extreme amount of stress. That doesn't change the things that he had said that at least I later learned through his testimony about Miss Reed. But there was an extreme amount of stress in the office, and in particular Trooper Proctor. His family was being harassed. All the people around him were being harassed. It was, I can't emphasize enough that when we went there, we were really going there for his well-being, in particular because his wife was not home. And I thought Detective Lieutenant Tully handled it well. I felt we were under constraints. I know the DLT mentioned that, it's not a secret if he tells us, but I didn't feel it was my place to kind of grill at Trooper Proctor and prod and ask what they asked him. If they ever called me as a witness or something later, I think that would be, it could be problematic. And I do think Detective Lieutenant Tully specifically was, he was bound by that NDA. I read that NDA. It was, I believe, a 9 or 10 page document. It was very specific that whoever was read in, any of that information was supposed to be used for the state court action against Karen Reed. It was very specific to that. And honestly, I was shocked at how lengthy the document was, and specific it was to the state court action against Karen Reed. In addition to his response to learning about at least the overall disparaging comments, did he?
Wait a minute. Did he say that he read Tully's NDA? You're not supposed to generally do that, right? Did I hear that correctly? He said he read through like a 9-page NDA, the 9-page. Yeah. I'm listening. I'm going, okay, wait a minute here. You're generally not allowed to do that. Like, you're not allowed to access it, read it, share it. Okay. So we pass along NDAs, and I'm telling you, they're just like, fuck it. We're just going to throw Proctor under the bus. Let's just get out of this whole thing. It's exactly what they did. Yeah, they make up their own rules. Yeah, right. And NH dude Steve says, for sure. So that's what he said. I was like, yeah, I think I heard that correctly, right? All right, here we go. We'll go back to this.
Indicate to Detective Proctor that he was going to have to report it to his supervisors, and that Trooper Proctor, Detective Proctor, was going to have to deal with the consequences of his conduct? Yes. Okay. And in fact, you now know that's exactly what he did. He notified his direct supervisor and GHQ of the issues that he had learned about regarding these disparaging comments the following day. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing else. Thank you.
Is there anything, Lieutenant Fanning, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you feel we should have asked, or is there anything that you would like to add or feel that is important or helpful regarding this investigation?
Why don't you pause for a while there, buddy?
No, I think what I just added kind of summed up, the interaction with Trooper Proctor and Detective Lieutenant Tully's actions. So no, I don't have anything to add, sir.
I have one last question, if you don't mind. Sir, given your reading of that non-disclosure agreement, was it your impression that that would have prohibited Detective Tully from commenting or making any reference to the disparaging comments and the subsequent April EES evaluation of Detective Proctor?
Yes, I do. And I would have been, if I was read in and signed that, I think I would have even had concern of passing that information along to headquarters, to be honest with you. I think he did the right, I think Detective Lieutenant Tully did the right thing by passing that information along. I think the job has, they should be concerned and have a heads up as to what's coming. But if it was specific language and things like that, I think I would, after reading that, I would be very careful on the wording I used, passing that information along to anyone.
Including his supervisors?
Yes.
But nevertheless, he did that the following day, correct?
That's what he told me.
Okay, thank you, sir. Nothing else. Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, that raises a couple more questions for me. If he knew the specific content of some of these text messages prior to signing a non-disclosure, immediately after being told by Trooper Proctor after he testified in federal grand jury, do you think that information, it would be appropriate to document in a negative EES or be part of that eval?
I'll say it again, sir. I did not leave there with specific words or commentary other than he had made comments about Mrs. Reed that were going to be a problem. But I did not leave there with any specific word or descriptive word, the word that you used earlier that he had used. That I do not recall him stating specifics like that.
And it wasn't in reference to you. It was in reference to Detective Lieutenant Tully. Had he had that information prior to signing a non-disclosure agreement, do you think it would have been appropriate for his evaluation report of Trooper Proctor?
I think I'd want to see it. I think
When you say it, what do you mean?
I'd like to see the text messages, and I'd like to, or read the grand jury minutes before I would take an action like that. I mean, he was just on the stand for 6.5 hours, and so yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I would have liked to have seen the actual text messages, or had specifics about them. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different. I would say that I would like to see them first before I would take action.
So if a department member informs you that they had these specific communications and it's they're not fabricated, the department member indicates that they're not fabricated, that these occurred, you would still need to see those messages to corroborate before making a full assessment?
I think I think the question's unfair. I think I would have to sit down and interview him. I wasn't interviewing Trooper Proctor. I would have to sit down and go over and take notes. And, that was not the intent of that meeting. We're talking about a guy, potentially killing himself.
Who?
That was the concern. Trooper Proctor. That was the concern when we went to his house. So, no, I don't think it was appropriate to stop, take notes, and ask him specific questions about text messages.
No,
It was not appropriate.
and no,
And highly inappropriate. The welfare of him was what
Working
was
on
the
it.
purpose of that meeting.
no, I understand. I think that's not what I was asking.
Well, you're asking me a hypothetical that was not the situation. So yes, by policy and procedure, sir, 100% right. But in that specific instance, no, that was not the case. That was not the situation. I didn't get into content with him. I don't remember Detective Lieutenant Tully getting into content with him. I don't think it's fair to ask a hypothetical that was not even close to the situation we were in. Yes, the question you're asking me, different series of facts, certainly, for sure, but not in that specific incident.
Okay. Attorney Burke?
Yes, but just so we're clear on this.
Now the attorney's going to clear it up here. The attorney's going to clear it up for him. Here we go. Just so we're clear on this.
Even assuming for the moment that he knew everything that was in that grand jury testimony, when was the EES due to be signed and prepared? Isn't that April of 2024?
Well, I believe that would be like the normally scheduled one.
Okay, so
a
that's
person
the
can do a
normally scheduled
supervisory
time.
observation report at any time
Right.
that an incident occurs, which is a
Right.
difference.
Okay.
Yeah, you could do an EES, Attorney Burke, for the positive and negative incidents.
Okay. And this was reported to the department the following day, correct? The general headquarters.
Yes.
Okay, do you know what, if any, action the department took at that point in time?
I do not. I just know that Trooper Proctor was up at headquarters with Major Copperanth and legal within the week.
Okay. And was that information available to the department within that week as well?
Yes, they were the ones who interviewed Trooper Proctor.
Okay.
And it was my understanding that they interviewed him about federal grand jury, a more formal interview about what occurred at federal grand jury.
Certainly more formal and detailed than what occurred with you and Lieutenant Tully.
For sure. Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, okay. Yeah, I don't think he was there for that meeting. If there's anything to clarify with this interview, if you have any more questions, that'd be great, Attorney Burke.
I'm all set. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, I cleaned that
Lieutenant
up.
Fanning,
Don't worry.
do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. I appreciate you taking the time out. I understand you're on vacation and you're away from here, and
Big fucking
hopefully you get
deal.
to enjoy some time with your family and friends. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day, gents.
This
Okay.
concludes
Thank you,
the interview. The time is 12:19 p.m.
All right. That's Fanning. I thought that one was it's actually a lot more telling than Tully's. I have Coffin Wrath. I'm going to try to play it because sometimes when I just share the audio, it doesn't work. But if you guys want me to play it, I'll play it. And that was Major Leonard Coffin Wrath. I'll play it though. I'm going to try to play it and share my screen. Sometimes when I do it this way, the audio doesn't work. And you're just going to have to all let me know if you can hear it or not. Let's see. Let me know if you can hear this, because if not, I'll prepare it and we'll do it tomorrow or something. Let's see if you can hear it.
Today's date is Tuesday,
Can you hear it?
August 6, 2024. The time is 10:36 a.m. This interview is regarding Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability, case number IAS 2024-0028, and is being conducted at General Headquarters in Framingham.
The name of the complainant is Major Keith M. Egan, ID number 2733. The commission.
Can you hear it? Just let me know if you can hear it or not. You can hear it? Okay, perfect. Because sometimes when I share it this way, it doesn't work. Okay, cool. Well, we'll play through it. Let's play it.
The commission officers conducting this interview are Detective Lieutenant Michael J. Blanchett, ID number 2952, and Detective Lieutenant Jeremy F. Sweeney, ID number 3186. The department member to be interviewed is Major Leonard G. Coppenrath, ID number 0809. Please state your full name, rank, ID number, and present assignment, sir.
Leonard G. Coppenrath, Major, ID number 0809, Deputy Division Director, Divisions in
It's not loud enough.
Services.
Yeah, this is the problem. When I share it this way, it's never like loud. You're probably hearing it through my microphone. That's why I said I didn't have time to prepare it. And I want you to be able to hear it. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to prepare these and we'll do like a part 2 to this. I knew this was going to happen because if I don't, usually what I'll do is I'll take the audio, I'll put a picture to it, and then I'll upload it to YouTube. And that's why the audio sounds better, because I'm playing it through a video. So let's do this. We'll pause it for tonight. I'll do a part 2 to this. Probably going to do it tomorrow night. I'll prepare these now and I'll get them uploaded, because it's going to take me a minute to do these. And I don't want to sit here on a dead stream and go, okay, we're going to wait. So we'll do a part 2 to it tomorrow. I'll prepare these because I just want you guys to be able to hear it. And I know sometimes when I share it this way, it doesn't work. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Maybe I can do it this way. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. I think I got this. Let me see if I can upload it. Ah, shit. I can't. Hang on. Maybe I can do it this way. Hang on. No, it's not going to let me do it. Fuck. Share screen. No. Image file. No. Slides. No. Okay. All right. We'll just have to end up doing a part 2 to it. Let's see. Christy says Fanning has been bullied his whole life. It shows in his answer he should not be a cop. Sad round by a bunch of corrupt cops. He's not legal in the head. I could do this. Do you want me to play my video on the ESS reports? I'll play that for you guys. Why don't we do that? And then I'll prepare these and we'll do this tomorrow night. Let's do that. Let's play the ESS report video. And that kind of gives you a good kind of wrap up of what these guys were doing. Let's do that before I head out. Let's do this. All right, we'll play this. Cool. We'll play this. And then I'll get the videos prepared. We'll do them tomorrow night. We'll come over and do them tomorrow night. All right, let's sit back and watch this. This is good. Yesterday, obtained the full internal affairs investigation file involving Massachusetts State Police Lieutenant Brian Tully for his conduct during the Karen Reed trials. The records were released to me by the MSP Division of Standards and Training, Office and Professional Integrity and Accountability. The file contains 24 exhibits along with sworn internal affairs testimony from Lieutenant Brian Tully and Lieutenant John Fanning, being asked about their conduct during Karen Reed's trials. Over the coming week, I'll be releasing and breaking down these documents here on my channel, including table reads of key testimony so the public can hear the words exactly as they were said, not filtered, not summarized, and not softened. So let me be absolutely clear about what this is. This is not a summary. It's not a press release. This is the actual internal investigation file. After looking through the file, what I found in the exhibits are official MSP evaluation reports signed off by high-ranking MSP officials, including Brian Tully. In those evaluations, we'll see former Trooper Michael Proctor, Sergeant Yuri Buchanan, and Lieutenant John Fanning. On July 12, 2024, Lieutenant Brian Tully became the subject of an internal affairs investigation after he failed to discipline former Trooper Michael Proctor and Lieutenant John Fanning during an employee evaluation process conducted in May of 2024. The behavior that should have been addressed in those reports in connection with the inappropriate text messages involving Karen Reed and her attorney, David Yannetti, back in June and August of 2022. During Reed's first trial on June 10th, 2024. While former trooper Michael Proctor testified, those text messages came to light in the public's eye.
He's a whack job. See you.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though.
What these evaluation reports provide are a rare, unfiltered look at how the MSP system evaluates itself through internal justifications, testimonies, and frankly, the weak internal decision-making along with the cover-up by a high-ranking MSP officer that ultimately shaped the outcome and lack of discipline in this case. In a moment, I'll put those evaluation reports on screen and we'll walk through them line by line. And as you watch, I want you to keep in mind what these officers said in that text chain about Karen Reed and David Yannetti, because when you compare the language to how high-ranking MSP officers rated conduct and integrity of these officers involved, the disconnect is staggering and criminal. All right, before I break all of these down individually, here are the overreach issues that I see in these reports. All three of these evaluation reports were completed, approved, or signed off during the same window when the inappropriate Karen Reed text messages already existed, supervisors were either aware of them or directly involved, and no corrective documentation was ever entered into any of these reports. Yet, the evaluations presented a pristine, above reproach narrative of professionalism, integrity, and leadership. And that is the contradiction in this case. All right, let's first look at former trooper Michael Proctor's evaluation. And the key things that stand out to me here in this report are Proctor is going to receive an outstanding rating in knowledge compliance with policy and law. He's going to have an exceptional rating in oral and written communication skills. He will receive an exceptional rating in interpersonal relationships and an outstanding rating in investigative ability. All of this was approved on May 10, 2024, with Tully listed as the reviewer. And why is this stunning? Well, Michael Proctor mocked the defendant, Karen Reed, used degrading language, joked about searching on her phone for nudes, expressed hatred towards defense counsel, and did so in a supervisory group text. Yet the evaluation states he treated citizens, quote, with dignity and respect, upholds constitutional rights, and communicates professionally via electronic communication. Those statements are not subjective. They are directly contradicted by the text messages. And here's another interesting point, and I'm going to bring this up. In the investigation ability section, the report praises Proctor for handling, quote, high-profile cases with integrity despite pressure from external sources. That line is extraordinary when you consider the pressure was real, the misconduct was internal, and the evaluator approved this after knowing the text existed. So Tully signed off on this. That isn't oversight. That is institutional shielding. All right, let's take a look at Sergeant Yuri Buchanan's evaluation. The key ratings that stand out are Buchanan receives outstanding across nearly every category, including supervisory skills, leadership and motivational skills, interpersonal relationships, and policy compliance. This report was completed by Lieutenant Brian Tully himself and approved on May 6, 2024. Why this matters? Buchanan wasn't a passive observer. According to the internal affairs file, he liked Proctor's inappropriate messages. He was a supervisor in that group chat, and he took no corrective action. Yet, the evaluation claims he closely monitors subordinates, holds members accountable, promotes professionalism, and is a role model. That is ridiculous. So let's take a look at this interesting point, and I'm going to highlight it on the screen. The supervisory skills section praises Buchanan for utilizing EES to document subordinate performance. That's critical because no negative documentation exists for Proctor during this period. The evaluation praises him for doing the very thing the IA later says did not happen. That's not a gray area. That's a factual contradiction. All right, and finally, let's look at Lieutenant John Fanning. And the key ratings that stand out: Fanning receives outstanding in every category, including policy compliance, communication, leadership, and management ability. The evaluation's published on May 6, 2024, and it's completed by Lieutenant Brian Tully. So why is this one subtitle but important? Unlike Buchanan, IA ultimately did not sustain misconduct findings against Fanning. That's a huge problem. However, Fanning was part of the group chat. He did not intervene, he did not document concerns, and he did not escalate or discipline. The evaluation praises him for monitoring emerging problems, addressing issues before escalation, and fostering accountability. Yet, by his own testimony, no corrective action occurred. And let's pull up this interesting point. I'm going to put this on the screen. The evaluation emphasizes Fanning's role in courtroom security and trial coordination. This matters because he was embedded in the Karen Reed trial environment. He had awareness of reputational risk and still did not document anything. This reflects a culture of contamination, not correction. So when you put all these three evaluations side by side, a pattern emerges. Misconduct exists, awareness exists, and documentation does not follow. Instead, a system produced glowing performance reviews that contradicted the known facts. These reports weren't written in a vacuum. They were written by people protecting the chain, not the public. And when Lieutenant Tully later admits that these ratings would not have been appropriate had the information been public, it confirms what the documents already shown. The evaluations weren't honest reflections of the performance. They were damage control. This is why these documents matter, not because of rumors, not because of commentary, but because when you put the text messages, the testimony, and the evaluation report side by side, the story tells itself. These weren't mistakes. They were choices, and they were choices that were signed off on by high-ranking officers. Over the next coming days, I'm going to continue to break down all the remaining exhibits. I'm going to walk through the testimony line by line and put together documents on screen so you can see exactly what happened in the situation. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you like this video today. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one. All right. Hopefully you get some idea of what those evaluation reports are. And we talked a lot about it tonight during the IA testimonies of Fanning and Tully. So that's going to end tonight's live. Thank you so much, Sophie. I appreciate that. And again, that's on my channel. You can go over and check that out. That stuff takes me so long to put together and animate and do the voiceovers. But I appreciate everybody, coming over and checking that out. And hopefully got you some clarity what these ESS reports are and what they were. The performance evaluations and what does that affect? It affects raises. It affects benefits. And these guys knew all of this testimony and what was going down behind the scenes, and they still rated all of them, just themselves, in 5-star ratings. And then all this shit comes out during the trial. It comes out in testimony. They're talking about, grand jury testimony. And here we are. So it's crazy. It really is crazy. I will prepare the next 2 testimonies. I didn't have time to do them tonight. I wanted to get Tully and Fanning obviously out of the way for you guys. But I knew I was going to have audio issues not getting it up on YouTube, but I will do that for you guys. Yeah, and it does this as well too. That's a good point, Nan. Forgot about that. All right, everybody. I'm going to head out for tonight. Tomorrow, I thank you. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Tomorrow at 2:00, there will be 3 indictments read in the Enrique Delgado Garcia case. I believe there is going to be a courtroom camera. So I'll just look out midday around 2:00. Hopefully these are broadcast. If they are, we're going to come back and go through the video of it, and we'll talk about that tomorrow night. Sorry, I'm tired. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate that that I put in the time and the ability to do all this for you guys, get these documents, get these videos, get this audio up for you, because I want you to all know, and I want transparency in these cases that we talk about. If we don't ask for these things, we're never going to get them, and we're never going to be able to either visually see it or hear them. And this is the things that should be being done, in my opinion, on these channels. Use your powerful platform, put in the work, get this stuff together, get it out to the public, discuss it, have discourse about it, let people go back and listen to this information and let them absorb it and digest it any way they want. And that's what I've always wanted to do here on my channel. I will continue to do that for you guys. And again, I appreciate everybody's support. I'm going to do this. I'm going to wrap it up tonight. Thank you all for being here. I'm hoping to stream tomorrow after the Enrique Delgado Garcia hearings. I'll give you some updates on that. I appreciate all my moderators, my longstanding members. Cindy in the chat tonight, 35-month member year on LTL Media. If you want to support me by becoming a member, you can hit the membership button down there below, or if you want to send a super chat or Venmo, it's across the screen here. I would appreciate the support. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed on the channel. Comment down below what you thought about this live stream, and we'll be back. We'll keep cracking all this open and peeling back the layers, putting in the work, getting the FOIAs for you guys, the FOIAs that you want to see, and getting this audio and video and testimony and transcripts and whatever it may be. I'm here to do that for you guys. But I appreciate y'all. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nan. And if you haven't gone back, please go back and watch my last 3 nights of live streams. It's very important, and it will encompass everything that's pretty much going on in the Enrique Delgado Garcia case. This super important case that's going on right now. Again, tomorrow, 3 formal indictments will be read. 2 of those in court tomorrow, and then the next one, I believe, is on the 12th or the 14th. That would be the last person that it's being charged. It is still an ongoing investigation, but I'm curious to see how this all comes to fruition and gives this family some peace. But please go back, watch those live streams. They're very important, and we're going to still continue to do a lot of work on that case. So I'm going to head out tonight. Thank you so much, all the new people that were over here tonight. Thanks for subscribing and hanging out, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good night, everybody. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.